All right, day 4, almost sleepy. I've got about another hour and a half in me at this point, which I'm going to use to do all sorts of funky stuff, which you're not going to get to see until I wake up and do a little bit more scripting, and then I'll shoot a cool video. But why this video? Almost there. It's called. We've got a new save file name, and the reason for that is because we have. Let's look at our workplace. It has next to nothing in it. We don't have a script here anymore. Where did our generation script go? Well, here it is. We've just called it script at this point. We only have 2 scripts currently in the game. This local script and this script here, server script. So these are the only 2 scripts we've got going. Okay, and let's break into what our server script says, because this is the meat of it. Okay, this is everything right now. Okay. Now, the game at this point is technically a little less interesting than it was before, but that's fine, because we've got everything efficient and crazy good. So, what do we have? Well, we learnt tables. Boy, did we learn tables. Tables I thought were going to be really easy, and I was like, yeah, this should be easy, we should be cool. So we learned 2 major things today. We learned tables. Probably better than many people know tables now, I think. Given the tutorials about tables that I've watched. And, yeah. So we've learnt tables, and we've learnt, client-server communication. Okay? Client-server communication, vital point. Didn't think I'd need to get into it straight away, but realized that I had an issue where I was like, man, hackers could really sort this out. And then someone was like, oh, well, have you set up where is it? Filtering enabled. And I'm like, no, what is that? Well, filtering enabled prevents your clients from being able to affect your server, basically. So this prevents things like speed hacking and all that sort of fun stuff. I don't know how it handles duplication, but I got a cool idea for that, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we also dropped our fallen parts destroy height by a significant number. So, what do we got now? Well, for one thing, we start back at 0 now. We don't need to worry about starting off in the distance, although we probably will increase our Y height so that way we get even deeper mining capabilities. But we'll wait. We don't need to do that straight away. Okay, and what we've done is we've created a cool table, which is an empty table. So table X is an empty table. It's a global variable. Probably don't need it to be a global variable. We'll look at that later. Okay, so this is table X. And what does table X do? Well, I should mention this. We just wait for this thing called remote position before we even start this. Technically, we could throw this further down. And honestly, I think we don't even need it. So we'll actually throw it out. We don't even need that. So whatever, it's gone. Okay. So table X is a table, new table, and we start this tick thing, which is just to see the time that it takes for this thing to occur. Okay, and you can see some values here already, and you should already be familiar with the stuff, which is the generation script that we had before, except instead of 3,000 and 6,000 and stuff, it's just 0, 0, and 0. Okay. But here is where it starts getting weird for you guys. Okay? What we've got is some extra empty lines where we just removed our print stuff, but let's ignore those. If a key inside table X of X does not exist, then what we're going to do is at the key of X inside of table X, we are going to create a new table. Tables in tables. Okay, and then if inside table X, there's a key of X, then at the key of Y, create a new table. So we're 2 tables deep. And then table X at the key of X, at the key of Y, at the key of Z, set the value of Z to be true. Okay? Then we're going to do something interesting, because what we have now, instead of generating the parts in an instance, we're going to be cloning the parts. Now, there's a slight problem I have with the way I've got things set up at the moment. We'll find a way to conquer that, but that's fine. So we've created this start part manually, and it's got all of the details which we used before. So fossil granite 666. Okay, and we could put stuff into this, like we could probably put a spotlight and stuff, but we're not going to yet. I need to figure out lighting better. So what we first do is, because apparently you can't, so when we clone something, we can't then put the position for the clone. I don't know why we can't. I don't know why we're denied that, but we can't, for whatever reason. So unfortunately, we have to actually change the position of this part before we clone it. So that's what we're doing here. We're changing that position to be the current X, Y, and Z coordinates. Then we're cloning it, and then we're setting the parent to be initial blocks. It won't be that always, but for now it is. Okay, so that's this loop. Okay, then there's another loop that happens where basically it goes, so this is saying if there isn't a table X with a key of X. But what if there is a table X with a key of X? Well, then it goes, does the table X with a key of X have a table that has a key of Y? Okay? And if it doesn't, then make a table. And then do all the other stuff. So we're just basically skipping this step and do that. And then the last thing that it'll check is, if table X has a table, has a key of X, that has a table, that has a key of Y, that has a table, that has a key of Z. If that Z value is nil, then set it's true, and we'll delete some of the extraneous lines there, and then do all that stuff. Okay? And then just print the tick. Now, I write it here. It's a pity I can't give position to the clone. I'm a tiny bit concerned that 2 players could trigger the block generation script simultaneously and rewrite the position value of a replicated storage block before the first calls the clone. Seems fine. Okay, so now we get to this additional script, because all this is just generating the first 144 blocks. Okay, and then we get to here, and we've got this weird stuff. What the heck is wait func? On server input what? What is this? Well, this is what's called remote a remote function or a remote event. The remote function. Okay, so we'll probably be changing it to a remote event, but currently it's a remote function. It's fine. It's a negligible code difference to change it to a remote event instead. So function, wait function, on server invoke, player XYZT. What does that mean? Well, let's go look at the tool that we created and we can find out. So our tool equals script.parent. Okay, so that's fine. So just so that way when we call tool, what we're saying is this. All right. Player mouse equals game players local player get mouse. We can say local player here because this tool will go in a backpack that belongs to a player. So local player will be that player's mouse. Awesome. When we activate that tool, so when we click while the tool is activated, okay, or tap or whatever you're doing, right? Then there's this function that we're doing, right? We're calling it event mouse. Okay. Now, if the player mouse has a target, we'll get to why we need this in a second, but if the player mouse's target has a parent that's name is initial blocks, because that's the folder where all the blocks are going in that I want destroyed, then grab the X value, the Y value, the Z value, and the target itself, and then message all those details to the remote position to this thing which then bounces it to the script. Okay. Now, why do we need this thing? Because I found out that if you're clicking like the air, it doesn't have a target and it throws like errors in the output for some reason. And I'm like, but that means that it doesn't have a parent name. So just skip. But no, apparently it doesn't do that. So we have to add an additional piece there for whatever reason. It's fine. Okay, so we've given, back to the script, we have now given, right, we've waited, we've been given the player, which we're always given by default. The script will always, the function will always give us the player value. So we've got to make sure that we grab that and give it a name. And then X and Y and Z and T. Okay? And then we just go back and the same thing. We've still got this screwed around. We won't do this right now, but eventually we'll reorganize this. We'll actually probably put Y first, because then we can sort of do this check really early on and skip a tiny bit, save just a fraction of speed. Not that we need it. So same thing as before. This is the same script that we had previously, and then this is the script that you've seen up there. It's identical. There's no difference between the two. Outside of the additional lines for printing and diagnostic purposes, which we no longer need. And then the last thing is T destroy, because T is the target that we targeted, and we don't want to destroy it until we've generated the rest of the stuff, because we don't want the player to have a situation where, we've destroyed the block up here, and then the rest of the stuff hasn't generated, and they fall through the ground. Okay. So how long does that stuff take? Well, obviously some of that was... Wait, what? Why do we have problems? We haven't had problems before. What? Unknown global weight funk. What? Did we screw something up? I swear, we've had this perfectly fine. Alright, let's just ignore it for now. What did we do? What did we do, Bane? What did we do? We deleted a bunch of lines. Clearly we've screwed something up. So I'm just going to undo some stuff and see what I screwed up. Oh my gosh. Of course. Deleting this, we were defining something. Okay? Alright, so that's what we did screw up. So we just need to drop that down here, because it doesn't need to be part of up there. And honestly, we could, yeah. We don't have to wait for child, but it doesn't matter. It'll exist straight away. So, cool, let's just jump back into it. Alright, so just loading took this amount of time. Now, what does that mean? Well, the easiest frame of reference that I have for you is how long it took to generate our previous setup. So our previous setup with all the weird shenanigans, the region 3s, all that jazz. Actually, the initial setup didn't have region 3s. So that's fine. It doesn't need region 3s. So without even using region 3s, which we knew were going to be inefficient anyway, were 0.0357 on average. So 0.036. Basically. And now we're getting 0.005. So we've basically shaved, it's like 1/7. So yeah, 7 times faster, I think. Yeah, I think that's how it works. But yeah, it's almost an order of magnitude faster, which is pretty cool. Now, the question is, how long does it take to do the block destruction and generation, all that sort of stuff? Well, that is basically an order of magnitude faster than it took to generate this entire thing. And that's not really surprising, because it's exactly the same script. Okay? Exactly the same. The only difference between this and this is that we have a while loop that we didn't have previously, and we destroy the block. That's it. That is the only difference. So I'm pretty happy with how that's all working. So over the next hour, I'm going to be working on actual cool stuff, which I'm looking forward to. So that way, visually, the game should look different. And yeah, I feel really happy with what I've managed to do today. I've really like gaining the knowledge of tables and client server communication. Fantastic. Gaining the knowledge of exactly what a local script does and how it can work and what things I need to pass on to the server and what things I don't need to pass on to the server. Awesome. Like, one of the things that I probably do wrong, I could be wrong about this, but probably correct. I could probably just pass along this and then get these C-frames on the other end, on the server side, which would probably be faster, but truthfully, I don't know. And since I don't know, yeah, I'm not going to care about that too much. Yeah, so, I mean, I could, I guess another thing that I should do. It's the very last thing before I go, but I'm pretty much done if you guys want to bugger off. Tomorrow's stuff will be better and cooler. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to see the time that takes, because I am kind of curious. So, alright, so now when we destroy, we should get 2 separate numbers. Okay, interesting. So that does take that amount of time. Alright, we'll fiddle with that off camera and see if we actually get it significantly faster to get those C-frame calls here and pass on less data. Probably a good thing, because I don't know how networking works in regards to this game, but probably a good thing. Alright, thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.